Have you heard the story of the homeless veteran GoFundMe fraudsters? True Crime Army, where you at? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are interested in all things true crime and newsworthy, be sure to subscribe where I will be releasing at least 2 or 3 episodes every single month, and hopefully I'll be releasing a couple more. All right, let's get to today's story. Back in November of 2017, Katelyn McClure and boyfriend Mark Domingo came up with a way to scam people out of money. Together with a man named Johnny Bobbitt Jr., the trio concocted a plan that would make people feel good, but at the same time would make them feel good enough to open up their wallets and donate to a veteran in need. Their cover story was as follows. Katelyn said that one day she was driving on the highway in New Jersey near Philadelphia when all of a sudden she ran out of gas. She bumped into a homeless Marine veteran who offered his last $20 to help her get home. The story about the homeless veteran with the huge heart eventually got out, and the three of them, Katelyn, Mark, and Johnny, they all gave interviews to anyone who wanted them. Katelyn and Mark were so thankful for Johnny that they began a GoFundMe campaign called Paying It Forward. The GoFundMe campaign was to raise money for Johnny. The goal was initially $10,000 to, quote, provide Bobbitt with rent for an apartment, a reliable vehicle, and 6 months of living expenses, among other things, end quote. The GoFundMe campaign touched the hearts of 14,000 people who together raised over $400,000 for Johnny. Well, after the funds were raised, everything would have been well and dandy. $400,000 could have got Johnny a couple of years, actually, of, good living. Except when Katelyn and Mark decided to cut Johnny out of the deal. Kinda. So, in August of 2018, Johnny, who had only received about $75,000 of the $400,000 that was raised for him, he was a little bit pissed. And so he sued Katelyn and Mark in civil court. But by the time the lawsuit had taken place, Katelyn and Mark had already spent all of the money. After the lawsuit was filed, an investigation ensued, and it turns out that Katelyn and Mark had used all of the money to buy a BMW. They bought a recreational vehicle. They took a New Year's Eve trip to Vegas. They also took a personal helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. And let's not forget all the Louis Vuitton bags that they purchased. And the discovery of this fraud blew up. Johnny, it turns out, wasn't a homeless veteran, I guess, although he did have some issues. In March of 2019, Johnny pled guilty to the following. And remember, Johnny was the one who was pretending to be the homeless Marine veteran. He pled guilty to conspiracy to commit theft by deception, and as his sentence, he was admitted into a diversion program instead of being incarcerated. According to the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office Facebook page, the program that Johnny was a part of is called the New Jersey Judiciary's Recovery Court Program. It allows those with addiction problems to seek treatment instead of being incarcerated. Mark pled guilty back in December of 2019, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Katelyn just recently pled guilty in state court, and she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. She also pled guilty in federal court, and she is already serving a 1-year sentence there. The sentences in the state and the federal are running concurrently, which means at the same time. GoFundMe did kindly refund the money to the 14,000 kind souls who donated. Johnny, Katelyn, and Mark are to pay back the monies owed to GoFundMe. But we shall see if that money ever gets paid out. Thank you, True Crime Army, for listening to this true crime crazy fraudster story. If you like what you saw today, be sure to click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. And listen, if you're interested in listening to military true crime stories on the go, be sure to subscribe to my podcast called Military Murder. Bye.